Hello and welcome back to Hidden Archaeology. Today we're looking into one of history's most fascinating phenomena, and one that might shed light on origins of our own religion. Imagine worshipping airplanes as gods and building makeshift runways in the hope of attracting more. That's just the tip of the iceberg in the intriguing world of cargo cults. Now let me explain. The term cargo cult emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in Melanesia, a region in the Southwest Pacific that includes Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and parts of Fiji and New Caledonia. However, the term cargo cult itself was not used until after World War II. These Pacific islands, isolated for centuries from outside influence, you could say still living in Stone Age, all of a sudden witness man, similar to them in appearance coming from the skies, or landing by impossible floating metal, bringing technology with them never seen before. These beings never needed to hunt, but yet they were never hungry. They wielded the power of fire and light in their hands. Who else but gods could possess such power and technology? And thus, the indigenous populations developed religious movements centered around the expectation of receiving material wealth, or cargo, from supernatural sources. One of the earliest recorded instances resembling a cargo cult was in 1919 in the Madang region of Papua New Guinea, where a movement led by a man named Yali sought to bring about a transformation that would lead to the arrival of ancestral spirits with cargo. This was part of a broader pattern of millenarian movements in the region, where indigenous people anticipated a radical change in their circumstances, often including the arrival of material wealth. And honestly, who would not be? Imagine all you ever know changes in a heartbeat. No longer need to hunt or fish. Food comes in a can now, dropped from the sky. These foods were vastly different from the traditional island diets and were seen as exotic and desirable, which included corned beef and rice. Other material goods included clothing and fabric, tools, hardware, and other equipment for construction and maintenance work, which were much more advanced than the indigenous technology on the island. Modern medicines and medical equipment, which were far more advanced than the traditional healing methods on the islands, were also included. Items such as soap, cigarettes, and mirrors, which were novel to the islanders, were also part of the cargo. And what I feel is the most important cargo indigenous received: radios, watches, and later, items like refrigerators and vehicles, which were seen as powerful and magical due to their unknown technology and functions. Now look back at some of our older religions, and imagine another entity coming down to land in advanced crafts that you don't even have vocabulary to describe. How would our ancestors describe such an encounter? Would they start to worship them? During World War II, we can find the most famous example of cargo cults, as it was during this time that the Alliance was getting ready to attack Japan and started occupying surrounding islands, building airstrips and mounting equipment and vehicles needed for combat. So you can only imagine these simple indigenous people with stone ape technology all of a sudden being thrown into the 20th century. In the late 1930s or early 1940s, John Frum movement emerged on the island of Tanna in Vanuatu. John Frum is often depicted as an American, though his exact identity and nature vary. In some versions, he is a messianic figure promising wealth and prosperity to the islanders. The central belief of the movement is that John Frum will return, bringing with him a bounty of cargo, goods, wealth, and food, which will usher in a new era of prosperity. Followers of the John Frum movement engage in various rituals. These have included the creation of symbolic airstrips to attract cargo planes, as well as construction of straw airplanes and conducting military-style parades. Interestingly enough, John Frum is celebrated annually on February 15th, and although the number of practitioners has declined over the years, the movement persists to this day. Such a phenomenon illustrates the human brain's capacity to believe in something greater than oneself. Also, cargo cults show how belief systems can adapt to new circumstances, incorporating new elements, like the figure of John Frum, into traditional beliefs. This capacity is a fundamental aspect of human psychology and culture. While the specific beliefs of cargo cults might seem unusual, the underlying psychological mechanisms are universal. All cultures have belief systems that help explain the world, provide a moral framework, and offer a sense of belonging. Whether these are religious, scientific, or ideological, they all fulfill similar roles in human society. Now that we know more about cargo cults, I would like to ask why the media calls it a cult and not a religion. I'll leave that one for you to answer in the comments. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay open-minded.